So intellectual humility, essentially, what we mean by this term is that you're able to distinguish between what you know and what you do not know.
Mm-hmm.
You're very comfortable with that line that's drawn in every context. So in every context you go into, you know that there'll be a lot of things that you know nothing whatsoever about, and there will be maybe a few things that you do know something about. And sometimes you go in and you, let's say in a case like this, okay, we have a certain level of knowledge. And in fact, we're trying to expand the limits of our knowledge by this very activity, or these activities of discussing and going deeper. So here, go ahead, add to that.
Yeah, and you said comfortable with distinguishing what you know from what you don't know. So two things, I guess. Here's one I ask my students, so to get them in touch with intellectual humility. So the question is, what do you believe, or believe strongly, or believe with all your heart that may not be true, right? And that's a very hard question to ask, but a good way to bridge into it that I would do with my students is, okay, so what are something you believed strongly or with all your heart when you were 7 years old, and that now you realize is untrue, or maybe not even close to being true? And of course, people come up with Santa Claus and things like that, but they also come up with ones like, I thought my parents knew everything, or my parents were always right and always did the right thing. And as you grow older, more mature, you realize that they're human beings like others. So there's a profundity to that one. Yet, as a child, it's something you can believe, and believe with all your heart. So it's a good inroad. And then it lets you speculate, but speculate in an incisive kind of way. What are some things that I believe now that I'm not saying they're untrue, but might not be, or might not be fully true, or might not be true to the extent to which I believe them? So it's a nice inroad into it. The second thing I want to say is really quite different. You said if you embody intellectual humility, you're comfortable with distinguishing what you know from what you don't know, and I agree with that completely. But I could say that I think intellectual humility might be my favorite of the intellectual virtues. And with me, it's not just that I'm comfortable. I love it. I love it when I find out that something I believed fully and casually, it just turns out to be wrong, or 3/4 wrong, or things like that. And it's I find it very invigorating, because what it does is it tends to open up a new world for me of things that I can explore through reasoning, through experience, through reading, and so forth. So I like intellectual humility. I like finding out. I mean, even just that facts that are just wrong. I don't know if I can give a good. Drinking 8 glasses of water a day is one that became very popular for a while. Or here's another. These are just coming off the top of my head. That the dust in your house is mostly human skin. That turns out that's not true. But it's one of those things that people believe, like the 3-second rule and all of those. Those are all small scale ones. But I have big time ones too that I just enjoy finding out. Wow, that's not so, or not exactly so, or something like that.
So intellectual humility, we're really saying we don't need to know everything. We won't ever know nearly as much as we sort of automatically think we know. We'll bring in, the egocentric dimension to this later. The part of us that says, of course you know more. Of course you know everything right now. Yes, we want to be open. We want to embody this, but there is the egocentric side that's saying, you are correct, of course.